Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about the film Jurassic Park III from 2001. This film has a reputation as being the worst of the Jurassic Park movies, and I kinda have to disagree. I had never seen this movie before. I didn't have high expectations. But I think what makes this film so much better than The Lost World is that it's understanding that this is a B-movie franchise. And if you think about the first Jurassic Park film, that's essentially like a B-movie produced at an A level, but it's still a B-movie. It's not like Spielberg's other films that are a B-movie premise directed at an A level. It's very much a B movie. It's just Spielberg's such an incredible director. A lot of people, I guess, either didn't notice or didn't realize it, or maybe just don't know 50s B movies. And the director of this film, Joe Johnston, who after two Spielberg films, he came in. He was supposed to direct the second Jurassic Park film, but then Spielberg decided to do it, and he promised Joe Johnston that the third Jurassic Park film would be directed by him. And Joe Johnston worked for Spielberg for a while. He did special effects cinematography on Raiders, at least. He's a good kind of studio director, but he's also good because he doesn't really have as much of an ego in terms of his auteur voice, really. He's just a fairly decent studio director. And in this, it shows that he got exactly the kind of film that this needed to be, and I think that's why Jurassic Park 3 is such a fun kind of B movie, is because it gets like, what do you want to see from a Jurassic Park movie? And the wow factor is gone because it's 2001. We already have the first X-Men movie. Superhero movies are starting. You have special effects films coming out almost every summer at this point, particularly with CGI effects. The whole wow factor of dinosaurs is really gone. So what are you going to do with it? Even if you're going back to the island, you kind of have to have a thrill ride B movie, and that's about all you can really do. Anything else is going to get too convoluted and have messages and trying to make it be something it's not, like, you know, The Lost World. And instead, Jurassic Park 3 is very unpretentious about what it's trying to do. Even though everyone claims this is like a cheaper film, it was actually more expensive than the previous Jurassic Park films. It was $30 million more than the first Jurassic Park movie and $20 million more than the second Jurassic Park movie. Jurassic Park 3 cost about $93 million, but it's Joe Johnston obviously understood the theories that Spielberg uses when he's making a kind of movie. He's making it within that genre, and Joe Johnston got that. He made an excellently yet cheaply made, but that's kind of the point because it was a B movie, action dinosaur thrill ride, and that's really honestly what you kind of want from Jurassic Park 3. You want a stupid B movie thrill ride, and it kind of just gives it to you without any pretension, but also without dressing it up in any way. So I think that's why people think it's cheaper, but that's exactly kind of what you want from a third Jurassic Park movie. A kid and I think his stepdad or some guy decide to windsurf or hang glide or whatever right near the island where all the dinosaurs are. Right at the beginning of the film, it very much in a very silly B-movie fashion says it's restricted, and this guy has, I guess, a business where he drives his boat and lets people windsurf right near it, but unfortunately something attacks them. You never really learn what it is, and so the people on the boat are killed while the people are still windsurfing, and then they crash on the island with all these wild dinosaurs, which is actually not the first island from the first movie. It's the second island from the second movie, because there's two islands, because I don't know why they had to go on the second island, but they are. Then his parents find Sam Neill from the original Jurassic Park film, and he even says at the beginning of the film when he's doing a talk that he would not go back to Jurassic Park unless he got a lot of money, and now he's back to Jurassic Park 3, which was kind of like very meta. I don't know if that's like a total joke. If you're doing a meta joke like that, I hope you got paid. I have no evidence that Sam Neill got paid, but assuming he's in this one, I assume he did, since he wasn't in the last one. To my understanding, he didn't turn down the last one. They didn't invite him back, but they invited him in this one, and Laura Dern does kind of a cameo. He gets this big money offer from the parents, but they don't tell him they're the parents. They're like adventurers. So they go on this chartered plane with these mercenaries. He thinks they're just going to fly around the island. He's going to show them stuff and then get lots of money, and he brings along a younger paleontologist with him, and then they land, and of course they try to find the sun, and then they try to fly up again because the Tyrannosaurus Rex is coming. Their plane crashes and they're stuck there, and they have to find the kid and hopefully get off the island and before they're all murdered. And most of the mercenaries are murdered. Why they brought the mercenaries then, I don't know. And then they eventually find the kid who's been surviving for like 8 weeks, which is like a really long time. And then they try to survive and get off of yet another dinosaur island. Having a Jurassic Park sequel at this time rather than in 1998 when everyone was really anticipating a Jurassic Park sequel and really wanted one, 1 and everyone would kept watching the movie on VHS. And then when you get to Jurassic Park 3, The Lost World, like, sure, it played on TBS, and maybe if you fell asleep while watching TV and woke up, you might watch a part of it. But nobody really liked The Lost World. And so by the time Jurassic Park 3 came around, there wasn't really that much love for the franchise. I kind of look at this franchise in comparison to the Jaws franchise. When you get to Jaws 3, they have like a gimmick, and it's like most horror movies have to have a gimmick, and they kind of lose sight of why people liked it in the first place. And for me, Jurassic Park 3 kind of remembers what was cool about the first Jurassic Park, is that it was essentially just a creature film. Now, I think that's also because you can't do the awe factor. That's gone. I mean, it's just gone. You can't bring that back. And so why don't we go back to the monster movie thrill ride kind of thing that works so well? And Jurassic Park 3 amps it up. There's more dinosaur attacks and dinosaur fights than I think in any of the other films. It's just there's an extreme amount, and it really kind of goes for it. It combines the action adventure of early 2000s Hollywood with a monster movie and does it a lot better than most films were trying to do at the time. But Jurassic Park 3 really kind of gets it. It's like, hey, we're a big dumb dinosaur movie, like, let's just have fun with it. And sure, there's like the dumb things like Sam Neill waking up for the dream and the raptors saying Alan, and people have made fun of that ad nauseum. This film doesn't really take itself very seriously. That's a weird thing to watch after someone like Spielberg, who very earnestly takes his film seriously, whereas Joe Johnston is kind of like a work for hire kind of director most of the time. He's also directed things like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Jumanji and October Sky, but I think the things I like him more for are The Rocketeer and Captain America: The First Avenger. It kind of shows he's good as a work for hire director, but he's good at being the kind of El Spielbergo studio director. There's other directors who very much emulate that style, and he's good at that, but he doesn't have like an auteur voice really. He's just a really finely tuned studio director. And this kind of shows like what he's so good at. Like, I like this film a lot more than like Jumanji, maybe not more than Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but he gets that like this film's really not about character. It's almost like he's not even trying to get that to come out. He just wants this to be a fun action summer blockbuster. And you can't really fault it, because it's kind of cool that a Jurassic Park 3 would want to just be a fun, dumb dinosaur action thrill ride, because like, why else would you see this movie? It kind of almost like gives the franchise a reason to exist. It's like, well, we'll just make fun B dinosaur movies. That's what you guys liked about this in the first place. I think the problem with Jurassic Park 3 is it's kind of confronting the public with something that it kind of didn't realize. Is like, these were dumb B monster movies, guys. You didn't know that? And they're like, no, I thought this was the height of filmmaking. This was going to wow me in wonder and amazement. Jurassic Park 3 is like, nah, bro. These were dumb monster movies. I don't know why you thought that, and maybe Lost World messed you up a little, but like, seriously, like, these are way more influenced by like dumb monster shit than anything. They're movies where you watch a bunch of dinosaurs attack each other, so you should just chill out about it. When the first Jurassic Park came out, its reputation that this was the huge technical leap forward, how well made it was, how thrilling it was, but it had huge laps in logic in terms of its location and the grammar of its action scenes. And Jurassic Park 3 kind of goes into that, and that's what made the first Jurassic Park so awesome. Is it's like, I don't care, let's have this go even further. It seems to care even less about its characters than probably any of the other Jurassic Park movies, but B action thrill rides shouldn't care about it. It does feel a little more video on demand or direct to video in terms of how it writes these characters and such, but like, it's a little more honest if you think about it. It's not trying to dress it up. Joe Johnston could have been a studio assignment action thrill ride B movie director in the 50s, and he kind of just does that, and that's why this film feels cheap. Is he essentially got what the film he was making, and he just did it too earnestly that people weren't ready for it. Oh, well, I'll just make this a B action movie, and that's what he did, and that's honestly what Jurassic Park movies are. He was just a little too honest with it, and yeah, it is dumb and stupid. It does feel cheap, even though it costs a lot more, but it kind of works for the most part. That other dinosaur that's not a Tyrannosaurus Rex, who gets a phone that he swallowed in him, that's a cute little gag. I've always heard people complain about how could you hear the ringtone of this phone in this dinosaur. Dude, it's a Dinosaurs Are Alive movie. Again, logic and the Jurassic Park movies do not mix. So calling them out on logic is just like something that is just showing you didn't really get a Jurassic Park movie. I like the gimmicks with that dinosaur. I like all the scenes with that dinosaur, but he doesn't look as iconic as the Tyrannosaurus Rex. When you have a cool T-Rex, it maybe should have gone more with the T-Rex, because the T-Rex is still really a star. I get the thing with Jurassic Park movies, they always have to have new dinosaurs and then feature the raptors. This film featured the raptors a lot more than 2. 2 seemed to be more concentrating on the T-Rex, but it shouldn't have played the T-Rex down as much as it did. The Velociraptors were cool, but the different designs of them, it's kind of showing like, oh, we know more about dinosaurs, or we can do more with these dinosaur designs. That's neat, I guess, but it kind of got annoying after a while. The gimmick of that didn't exactly play as well as it should have, and having like the pterodactyls in this film, it's a cool idea, I guess, but it didn't feel as cool as the other dinosaurs. And where did the pterodactyls come from? I get that they're stupid and the logic doesn't work, but it does feel like they're just like pulling a bunch of dinosaurs out of their ass. So like, what did we not have last time? Let's put it in the new one. People will dig it. More newer dinosaurs. I thought the pterodactyls were a little bit silly. It's a fun, dumb dinosaur movie, and it's a B movie, and it's a little more honest about its B moviness than any of the other Jurassic Park movies. And that's what I like about it, as someone who likes B drive-in monster movies. I was totally down for this. 2001, people weren't really embracing the B-ness of blockbuster movies yet, and it was maybe a little, oddly enough, ahead of its time. This is pre 9/11 by like a month and a half. The era of the early 2000s, people were a little more earnest about their blockbusters, and then post 9/11 they'd be very earnest about their blockbusters, and they could do with some stupidity in terms of their blockbusters, but not too much. It had to really be fun. It really had to wear it on its sleeve. And since this is a sequel to something that everyone took seriously and was beloved, and it's in effect calling it stupid, I don't think people were kind of down for that. It gets what's awesome about a Dinosaur Island movie rather than Lost World, which tries to like make it way more than it is. It's Joe Johnston has nothing to prove. That's what's awesome about Joe Johnston. If you watch Captain America: The First Avenger, he just makes a very solid Captain America World War II movie. Same with The Rocketeer. Makes a really solid action adventure movie. And that's what he's really good at. He knows the kind of movie he's trying to make, and he makes it very solid and makes it exactly theoretical for what it should be. I love Joe Johnston because he's the kind of assignment director that Hollywood kind of needs more of. People who can just like, I know how to make this picture, don't worry kids. And he's good at that. That's what Joe Johnston is awesome at. That's what I love about Joe Johnston when he's good. Jumanji, I mean, it's not the greatest. The films that work for him are films that really look like something an assignment director would do, and he directs it that way, like a glorious old studio assignment director. And that this film is very kind of retro in what it's trying to do absolutely works for him. It's the kind of movie that doesn't exactly work with the time period of film that was going on. It feels a little out of place with 2001 in terms of movies. In terms of the public, I get why it had a bad reputation. Had Jurassic Park 3 come out in like 2012, 2013, I think people would dig it. And in fact, I recommend if you hated it when you first saw it, go back and watch it. It's what it is. It's a B dinosaur movie, and it's awesome at it. If you watch them in order, like right in a row, Jurassic Park 3 seems so much better after having to sit through The Lost World. Jurassic Park 3, if you look at it in the context of the series, which is kind of the more correct context to look at it in, Jurassic Park 3 totally gets what it needs to do, and it's kind of the movie you want after watching The Lost World anyway. If I had waited a couple years and then come back to it after watching The Lost World, I would get, the kind of reaction people had to it at the time, but this is the way I watch it, and this is the way I view it. If you look at the franchise as a whole, Jurassic Park 3 definitely gets the fun of watching a bunch of wild dinosaurs on a tropical island run around and people trying to survive and get off the island. And that's really what you want from a Jurassic Park movie. So if you have seen Jurassic Park 3 and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to. And this is kind of the end of my look back at the Jurassic Park movies. It was kind of really a reason for me to watch them all, because I hadn't seen Lost World in a while and I'd never seen this movie. So if you'd like to check out that playlist, click on the annotation below. My next review in this series and my next review in general will be Jurassic World. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.